welcome to Jadu Lifestyles, where you can have a life and live it too. This is the podcast where you business owners, entrepreneurs, and other like-minded people listeners can join us to hear the perspectives, the experience, and the expertise of business owners and entrepreneurs all over the world. Today we have part two with Mr. Mike Sisti. He's a business coach. He's an entrepreneur. He has been in business for a long time. So welcome again, Mr. Sisti.
Thank you for having me back.
So thank you for being here. And what I would like to do is to continue with our interview where we left off the last time. Tell us a little bit about when you started your entrepreneurship. How old were you?
My first venture as an entrepreneur was at age 11. I was still in grammar school, and I lived in Brooklyn. It was late spring, and in late spring in New York, we considered that fireworks season because everybody was looking forward to the 4th of July. So what we did was in May and June, we would save up our money that we got from any little odd job we did around, or our allowance money, and we would take the subway into Lower Manhattan to Chinatown. And there we could walk the streets of Chinatown and buy firecrackers from some of the merchants there. Well, each year the firecrackers got more and more expensive, and one of my classmates came to me that year when I was 11. He was also 11. And he said he read this ad. He saw this ad from a company in Ohio that sold fireworks. And he called them, and they said, yes, they would ship fireworks to New York. And, of course, back then, as of now, fireworks of any kind are illegal in New York City. So my friend said, the only problem is we have to order $50 worth of fireworks. Well, when you're getting 25 cents allowance, $50 is all the money in the world. So he said, we can't possibly do this. And I said, well, wait, maybe we can. Why don't we talk to all the kids in class and see if they want to buy some fireworks from us? Maybe we could get to $50. So we started this business. We were going around the schoolyard with our little notebook and taking orders from our friends, and they were giving us nickels, dimes, and quarters and dollars, and we started taking orders for fireworks. Well, before you know it, the high school kids heard about it, and we now had orders for $125 worth of fireworks. So we got a money order. We placed the order with the company in Ohio, and about a week later, the fireworks showed up. We had to pick them up at the Railway Express office, which is no longer in business. But we had all these fireworks, and we distributed them to all the kids that bought them. And, of course, not having any bookkeeping experience, we made lots of mistakes on taking the orders. And at the end of the day, we didn't have enough fireworks to give the kids. So, fortunately, we ordered a lot of stuff for ourselves, which we didn't have to pay for because that came out of the profits. And we gave some of our stuff to the kids. And we each ended up with about $25 profit apiece, my friend George and I. Well, that was all great, but every time the doorbell rang, I was sure it was the police coming to arrest me, and the stress was over the top. But worse than that, what I should have feared even more was either my mother catching me or the nuns catching me, because that would have been far worse than being caught by the police. But anyway, it was a very stressful situation, and it made me realize that if I'm ever going to do a business venture again, it has to be legal, because I didn't want to go through that everyday fright. But making that profit just planted the bug that I wanted to be in my own business. And so at age 19, I was already married, and my wife was pregnant when I was age 19. I went into my own business. I was working for my family's printing company, and I had an opportunity to start my own business, and I jumped at that opportunity. And so I spent most of my career working for my own business. And as I said, I founded 25 different businesses, so they varied, but most of them had to do with providing marketing services and consulting services. So that's my entrepreneurial career right up until this year.
So, are you retired now?
No. Um, as I mentioned in my previous interview, I launched a business back in May, which I'm in the process of shutting down. I have remnants of a couple of projects that may come to pass, and I'm prepared to handle them if they do. I still do a little bit of consulting, and I'm primarily writing right now. I just completed my eighth book. It's at the editors now, and I'm going to be publishing that before the year end. And then I'll be working on marketing that book. And as I've learned in book publishing, writing the book is the easy part. Marketing is what really takes the time, effort, and money. And in addition to writing this new novel, which I'm very excited about, I'm also working on a TV series with a pretty well-known playwright in New York City. He writes and produces lots of off-Broadway plays in the New York area. So no, I'm not retired. I can't bring myself to just stop and play golf every day. So I plan to continue.
So, are you one of those that spend some of your time on the golf course?
I play golf whenever I can, but in the last couple of years, I haven't had much time to play. I may get out once a week or a couple of times a month, but I am planning to do a little bit more golf and a little more vacation time than I have been. I think since I'm going to be spending most of my time writing and marketing my work, I think I can give myself a little more time for some relaxation.
I had a business advisor early on in my career that said, I'm a licensed massage therapist in the state of Florida. That's one of the business that I have primarily been involved in before doing other things. I'm still licensed in the state of Florida, but he said that he does not work with massage therapists. Is there any business that you don't work with?
That I don't work with? Well, I won't work with any business that's illegal. I kind of stay away from automobile dealerships. I have done some automobile dealerships, but their mindset is a lot different than mine, so it usually doesn't work out. I avoid retail when possible. Small retail businesses are very difficult to run and survive, so unless there's a specific reason for me taking on a retail account, I usually don't. Likewise, restaurant businesses. There's another business where a small business owner's mindset in the restaurant business is so different than what it needs to be in order to survive that I usually stay away from that. In fact, one of the books I wrote, The Failure Myth, uses a restaurant as an example of why a restaurant is so prone to failure. So I usually stay away from that. But personal services, like massage therapy or hypnotism or other personal services, I never stayed away from. I did do work for several of those.
One of the things I've learned about massage therapists and even myself is that we are very creative people. We have other skills and talents that I know for me it felt like if it was so easy that it couldn't have been a gift or something special. Even the technique that I developed in massage therapy, I felt like everybody should know it because it came so easy to me. I found many therapists, and I'm one myself. We are artists. We do other creative things. I'm an author also. But I want to also touch a little bit on your book. The book that you wrote about the failure myth. Is that your last
Yeah.
book, or are you on another?
No, I wrote that several years ago. Um,
Okay,
the book is kind of a sleeper. It's not. It hasn't sold very much. I need to promote it because it's a simple short book. It gives lots of examples of very famous people that have failed multiple times. So it's a book that encourages uh, encourages entrepreneurs. But yeah, I plan to really promote that book. I've gotten some good feedback from the people that have read it.
do you find it harder to write a novel? As I know you've written several novels, right?
Yeah, I've written four now. I've published three. The fourth one is at the editors now, and I'm very excited about that book. It has
Do you
very little
find
chance of being a bestseller, not because it isn't that good, but because the bestseller books are written by celebrities, politicians, and criminals. And of course, those three categories are interchangeable, but the name recognition is what makes them bestsellers, not necessarily the content. My new book has excellent content. It's a very powerful novel, but I don't have the name recognition, but I'm going to push that book very hard. But getting back to the failure myth, again, that book I wrote, I guess, 5 or 6 years ago. Uh, but it wasn't a difficult book to write. It was easier than the novels. I relied mostly on my experience of why other businesses were not successful, and found the fear of failure to be a primary driver that causes people to either fail because of it, or not reach their potential because they're afraid to fail.
mm-hmm.
So, like I say, the book has wonderful examples in it, and when I wrote it, I gave copies to each of my 12 grandchildren, and at
Mm-hmm.
the time they were high school and college age, and of course none of them read the book. Kids in that age category, particularly now, don't read very much, so they didn't read the book. But my youngest son read the book. My youngest son is the most successful of my six children. He earns high six-figure income every year, and so he read the book, and he sent me a brief note that just left me speechless. And so whenever I get an opportunity to speak about my writing, I read the two short paragraphs that he sent me, and it does it gets people to realize that this may be something that they should be reading. So
What did you find harder to write, the novel or like the nonfiction?
I think that the novel is harder. The nonfiction that I write, because I'm working on another nonfiction book right now, um, those come from my active experience. My novels also come from my experiences, from activities, but I fictionalize the actual events. And with a novel, you've got to write a lot of description. You've got to be able to write good dialogue. You've got to be able to communicate what's going on in people's head. Um, you've got to describe what they're wearing, and build